Hello, this is Marion Penna. Today I'm coming to you from seamstobesew.com. Today I'm going to show you a quick tip on a little fix for when you get a blank fabric on your fabric chart. I'll show you what I mean. Does this ever happen to you when you create a fabric chart? When you make fabric charts in Electric Quilt, you can only do it with being on the quilt layout tab. You have to have a quilt laid out. This is, by the way, my spring row for EQ Seasons Row Long. It's called Sue in the Garden. And when I first created this row, I set it on in this same manner. I still get confused by laying out and that kind of thing, but I usually get it figured out. But in this case, when I went to make my fabric chart for the pattern, I noticed the blank fabric on my fabric chart. So I'm going to show you how to fix that today. There are many reasons why it can happen, but for me, it's mostly because I will set a motif block, a normal block on the layer 2 tab. And that's what I have done in this case. I have set from the blocks tab these on the layer 2, and they are really meant to go on layer 1. But when you go to put these on layer 1, what happens is, oh, I think I just goofed that up. Another way this fabric chart problem will happen is when you delete the blocks off in the wrong way. Depending on either tool, either erase block or adjust and delete. Either one of them does it. So be sure and check for that as well when that happens. Okay. What happens here is when I set my layout up, I originally set my layout at 5 blocks horizontally for the row, and it's 12 inches wide, and that makes my row 60 inches wide. And that's what I needed, is my row to be set at 60 inches. There are probably other ways to lay this out, but I honestly just know this for right now. So I'm going to show you one of the ways to remove, and this tutorial is just based on one of the ways to remove that blank thing. So when you come over here to the layer 1, which is for pieced blocks or applique blocks that already have the background set on them, like these here in the sketchbook blocks. These are normal blocks, and these are my motif blocks. So what happens here is I go to set these on layer 1, and I end up being stuck because it makes my Sunbonnet Sue 12 inches by 8 inches as a block, and I only want her to be 8 by 8. This is where the problem lies, is with this. If there's a way to resize these blocks so that I have my different sized blocks, I do not know how to do it. And I have not asked, so it's my own fault for not. But today I was just trying to decide which tutorial I would do, and like I said, I had the fabric chart problem, and I thought, oh, I guess I'll do that. So this is where this happens at, and I need these blocks to be the different sizes. So they need to come off of here, and in layer 1, the only option you have for deleting blocks is the erase block feature. The adjust feature is not available at all on the layer 1 tab. It is shadowed out. So there's no way to resize, and they don't give you a way. Even when you select the block, you don't have a way to do that. You're set based on what your layout says here of 12 by 8. I don't know what would happen if I took and went to the quilt work table options for setting blocks. See, I have it here, it's set for 14 by 12. And when I come up here, if I click a block and I go to print it for the, let's say the templates, it wants to use the size from the quilt, and it shows in this 12 by 8. So consequently, all of the blocks in this row are going to be 12 by 8, and I have no control over that. So that's where these blocks need to be done on the Applique tab. Or I'm sorry, the Layer 2 tab. So when you go to do this, you're going to say to yourself, okay, I can't use my blocks. Well, you can use your blocks, but you're still going to get the same effect that we had before. Whereas this is going to give you the, I'm going to come up here and do this real quick. Where you're going to get the blank fabric. Okay, and that's not what you want here. What you want here is, I think if you use, I guess if you use the erase quilt, you don't get that. If I had, I'm not going to worry about it for now. If I take and I go to the Motifs tab, I'm sorry, my monitor is odd today. If I go from the Blocks tab to the Motifs tab on the Sketch Block window, I can then take and drag these in here, and as you can see, it's going to tell me that my block is too big for the row, but that's okay because we can resize it here. And then I'm going to drag this one on, then I'm going to drag this one on, and then I can just set this window aside because I don't need it any longer. I can take and I can select that. I can go up here. I know that this needs to be 12 by 8. Whoops. I'm not on my tab. There we go. And that way I can move it into shape. And another cool way to check is that this is a 60-inch row, so it takes and it gives you, you know you're on the right spot. Also, because 60 minus 12 is 48. It only does this end measurement, the left end of each block. It doesn't do the end. So until you get to the border where it would show 60 as your first measurement in the border. It helps you to line up your blocks and that kind of thing. I love this feature. I can't believe I went so long not knowing about that feature actually, because it's made such a difference to me when I lay things out now. So 8, and we'll put this in line, and we know that this is going to be on 40 because we're at 48 here. So it's okay to work backwards if you can think that way too. We know this one is going to be 20 by 8. And I'm going to set that in place, and that's going to be on the 20 tab. Then I can just take and I can press Control C on my keyboard and a paste to duplicate it. I'm going to scooch it over here. I'm going to do the same here. Then I'm going to just take my flip tool, I'm sorry. And I'm going to flip them because I know they need to be flipped. I'm going to go to my Adjust tool and move these into place. See here we have 0. This is where it should be. This one is on the 12. This is a 12-inch wide block. So 12 is good here. We're good at the 20. We're good at the 40. And we're good at the 48. You just have to think in terms of it's on that very left side of your block. And that's where you're going to get that top measurement from. The bottom one is for if I had another row, it would start here or here on the very top of each row. So if I had another block down here, it's not because it's the bottom, it would be the top of the next row that is going to tell me this number. Okay, I'll just tell you that real quick. Okay, so now when we go over to layer 1, we are going to add our background fabric, and that's where you clear up the fabric chart problem. Okay, why am I not getting a background in here? Okay, I don't know why that's not giving me a background. I'll be right back. Okay, this is where I was telling you about that odd occurrence where sometimes when you delete blocks, you can end up with these extra blank blocks. And this is where what the problem was. So I just highlighted it and I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna put this back into place. I'm gonna make sure it's lined up okay. And then I'm going to come and put my background on. And there we go. Now I would put this in my sketchbook. I need to delete my other one that I have here. This is the bad one. And let's see how that does for a fabric chart. We're just going to do a preview and see my blank one is gone. So that is one solution to getting rid of those blank blocks. If another one, it will happen when you get those blank backgrounds as well. So you have to check for that. And the way to check for that is by being on the Layer 2 tab and pressing your select. Okay? So that's it for today's little lesson. And I hope you enjoyed this lesson on how to fix that blank block on your fabric charts. I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoy the rest of EQ Seasons Roll Along. It's been a sheer pleasure to bring it to you. I thank you for visiting. I thank you for commenting. And I thank you for enjoying my rows. Bye-bye for now. We'll see you soon.